Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to have some fun with alcohol inks. I don't know if you guys have ever had them before or wanted to play with them, so I figured I would show you just some basics. So there's a few things that you can get to go with your alcohol inks. We have different papers. This element, the sprayer, it's basically it like squeezes out air. You'll see me use that. We have 4 different papers from Ranger, and then I have this Yupo paper that I bought from online somewhere, probably Amazon. And we're going to play with the alcohol inks on each of these. So Yupo paper basically is like a synthetic paper. I'm going to read off the back just real quick. So it basically is non-porous, water-resistant surface, bright white, smooth finish, and it's not laser or inkjet compatible. So you're not going to be able to print on it or anything like that. But the two Yupos, the bigger pad that I have and the small one, they're going to operate really very much in the same capacity. Okay. Now, what's fun is the specialty papers from Ranger we'll get to play with and see how the alcohol inks move on those. The last thing I pulled out is an alcohol blending solution. And you want to make sure you're in a well-vented area. These are flammable, so you want to be careful. And I'm using gloves right now only because I have to go to an event tomorrow and I don't want to get alcohol ink all over my hands. But I have done it before. It washes off eventually. It's no different than if you get like a marker on you or something like that. So the first thing I like to do sometimes is just put the alcohol solution down first and then the inks. And then as I squeeze this tool, which I want to say is from Ranger, it helps move the ink around. Now, I've seen people use heat tools. I've seen people use hair dryers. Here's the thing. You want to make sure that if you're using a heat tool that you're keeping the tool very far away because like I said, these are flammable. You do not want to set them on fire. Okay. So, but you want the air, so if you have a blow dryer where you can put it on a cool setting, so you can just have that the pressure of the air to move the ink around, you can do that. I like this tool. I've used it before. It works really, really well and I have fun with it. Okay, so on this next one, we're going to use a pearlescent alcohol ink in like a yellow, and then we're also going to use jet black, which is going to be fun. Now on this one, I do put the alcohol solution down, and then I'm going to put down the black and the yellow. And I wind up putting a lot of black at the bottom, but it's okay because the one thing I like about alcohol inks is you can just keep adding ink to it and keep using the sprayer. I don't know. I don't even know what this thing is called. I'm going to say sprayer, but it's just all it's doing is pushing air, okay? And it's moving the inks around, right? And I just keep playing until I get it to where I like how it's spreading out. And if you want it to move some more, you just add some more alcohol solution, the blending solution, and it'll create movement again in the alcohol ink that seems to have like settled, right? So sometimes I'll do that and make it so that an area kind of opens up a little bit more where I can put more color down because I realized I wanted a little bit more of the yellow right down here in the middle. So I'm just going to keep adding the color until I see, you see how it's like peeking through the black? I really like how that's looking. All right. And if you guys, while you're watching this, have any questions about the alcohol inks or, doing this type of a technique, just leave the questions down below. I'll be happy to answer those for you. But look at that. I love how that came out, and I like how that amber is like peeking out from the black. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this one is probably gonna be my top favorite because I'm gonna use three colors. I'm using a purple, sort of like a tealy, pearlescent blue, and the hot pink that I used first. And we're gonna use all three. Now this time I didn't put any ink, any of the blending solution down. I'm just putting the alcohol ink first. And I'm gonna do the blue at the top, purple at the bottom. We're gonna add a little bit more of the blue because it was weird on the black. When I put it on there, it kind of went more silvery blue. And I mixed them with the pearl essence. You have to shake them up because it's almost like a mica, but that pearl essence that's in there, it settles to the bottom. So you definitely have to shake it up to make sure it's all blended. Okay. And then this is the gold mixative. And all I'm doing is adding the gold in certain areas, right? We just want it as like a highlight, and then to have it so that when you shimmer, like when you tilt it, you can see that gold kind of in the mixture, if that makes sense. And we're just going to keep going. Like, and that's the one thing with this. I can't help myself. I will just keep adding inks until in my mind I'm like, okay, no, I'm liking how this is starting to turn out. So I was like, I want some pink down here. So we would have pink in the two corners, right? And then I was like, you know what? Then that means I need to bring some more blue, not only up at the top, but I'll wind up putting some blue towards the bottom as well. And I'm putting it here. Yep. And for, you know, it covers up a little bit of the gold, but it's okay because, like I said, I think when you do it, how do I explain it? Sometimes it creates a harsh line, but sometimes it does start to blend in. And if it is a harsh line that you don't really like, then you just add a little bit of the solution, the blending solution, and it spreads out and it softens the line again. So I really like, now this, I did have to come back. There was a little bit of a jump, but it just dried while I was away. So I'm putting up all the colors that we just had out. And I'm just checking because I know for the next one, I kind of want to do something a little different. So I'm using a pink mixative, which is like the rose gold, and more like a baby pink alcohol ink. So we're going to put some down and then we're going to put down the pink. Now what I found with this particular pink is that it is very light. Okay. So as I'm spreading the air around, I'm finding that, okay, the color isn't very dark. And right here, I was trying to get this mixative out and you see all of that came pouring out. So be careful, okay? I'm going to tell you now that the alcohol inks obviously can get clogged. So if before you start, I was already live, so there's not much I could do about it. But you just want to double check and make sure that if it's stuck, that you try and get it out, you know, the blockage, because that could have been disastrous. Thank God it just stayed on the project. It didn't get all over me. And then I added a little bit more hot pink, and then I wanted to add a little bit more of that tealy blue, but when I mixed it with the pink, it turned into almost like a dark purpley blue. It was weird. Not weird, but I mean, you know, color theory. It will turn into like heading towards purple, but sometimes it can stay more of that teal, and I like the teal sort of like pop that it was creating, especially down here where we're doing a lot of that blowing of the air. And then I added some more, and up there it just turned darker for some reason. I think it's just because it had already started going into that darker blue. All right. And so on this one, I'm just hitting it with the air, helping it to dry, and then we're going to set it to the side. If you use a glass mat and the alcohol inks dry, all you have to do is reactivate with your alcohol blending solution, and you'll be able to get it off your mat. Okay? So now I'm grabbing the, I want to say this one is 9 by something. Hold on. Of course, I can't see. Yep, 9 by 12 inch. Okay. Yupo paper. And this one, I wanted to use the blue, it's going to be a blue, brown, and gunmetal mixative. And the blue, I shook it up. At first, it felt like it wasn't as dark as I was hoping it was going to be, but now looking back at it, it is a little bit darker blue. It looked really light while I was doing it. And I've always loved the combination of blue and brown. So that's why I wanted to use these colors. And then I'm mixing the mixative. And then, oh no, I shook the the blue up some more. So, because I was like, this just seems really light. And I wanted more of that color. And now I'm adding the mixative. And we're going to spray the air. And I do it towards the edges of the paper or away. That's usually how I'm directing the air. Putting down a little bit more brown. I wanted it to be a little bit darker. And anywhere where it's not going fully, you can always, like I said, add the the alcohol blending solution to get it some more movement, okay? Just like how I did right there. And then that allowed me to move a little bit more of the color, open that up some more, and spread some more of the brown. It's amazing how organic these look too. I mean, I really do love how alcohol inks turn out. I wish that they would make 12 by 12 Yupo paper or a synthetic paper that we could do this technique on, so that way you could do it and make your own background. With this being 9 by 12, I could put this onto obviously a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, but it's just like, if it was one big sheet, can you imagine what kind of backgrounds you could make, you know? It would be perfect. But I'm thinking for our to project, I'm probably gonna skip that video and use the other pages that we did and make cards with those for Friday, for the Friday series. So we'll see how it works out. But right now, I mean, I just love how that looks. It's so different and unique, you know? But there is one more little bit of technique that I want to share. So with alcohol inks, if you can get it to the point right before it's fully dry, right? It almost will have like a tacky, a tackiness to it. You can take foil, the heating foil that you would put through your laminators and stuff like that. You can take that and put it down onto the project, and it'll create highlights with the foil. It's a really pretty technique. Now, this was still pretty wet, so that's why I was using my heat tool. But there are different areas on here that are still, some of them were still really wet. But I'm just trying to check here to see what part is sticky. And on that is where I'm going to put the foil down. And I think here we're going to see it really like where the brown is, kind of down here at the bottom where I'm putting the foil down, right in there. And then it comes off. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm trying to get it to do. So do you see that? I know it's hard to see because I sped it up a little bit. But as I'm finding the tacky areas, those little sections are getting the foil accent, okay? And it just creates a little bit of a highlight in different areas of the project that we just created. So I'm going to turn it and put some of the foil down here and then pull it up. And I grabbed my bone folder just to help with some of the rubbing, because I want to make sure it's really sticking. And you can see there, see that? And then I love that. Oh my gosh. And it's only in a few places, you know. You don't want it on the whole project, but you want it to have like as if little accents, you know. So I'm just rubbing all over, just trying to make sure, because a lot of this has dried. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss any tacky area that we can get some of this on. Yay. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to try one more. Just a little spot over there. And then I think that's it. So then when you tilt it, you just get these small little areas of hint of like silver foil. I was trying to see if these had any, but they had fully dried by the time we got to this one. So it's not going to give us any more sticky areas, because that's what I'm checking with my hands. And even with this one, there were some spots that looked like they were still kind of tacky, but they weren't. It was completely dry. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so those are our final panels. I mean, they're just so pretty. I love how they turned out. I really do. And for me, I feel like you could just put a sentiment on top of it and call it a day, like a large happy birthday or thank you or whatever. This one, the brown with the blue, we could cut that up and make multiple card fronts. So I just think these are so pretty. This one and the brown one is probably my favorite. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you with our next video. You have a great one.